Hi, this is Freya from Otherworldly, and today I am giving you a look at a few of the Sims of this year's Fantasy Fair. The Fantasy Fair consists of, I think, 12 Sims, so there's a lot to visit over the 10 days that the fair runs, from today until the 30th of April. 9 of those are shopping Sims, and they're all themed around a different part of the fair lands, with each sim having a different sponsor and different builder, so there's a lot of different looks and feels. So I've picked out a few that I really like, and also that are quite different from each other, just to show the range of looks that you will get at this year's Fantasy Fair. And we are starting with this pretty woodland sim, or very sort of rustic sim anyway, and it is called Shadow Row, and it is built by the Rowan Wood. And you have a lot of beautiful trees, a lot of beautiful woodwork, and I think these are supposed to be the home of a tribe of orcs, and I'm presuming these must be the nice kind of orcs, because they do seem to keep a nice, tidy home at least. And you have this tusk motif sort of for the orcs that decorates the shops. So you have these smaller shops down here, 2 clusters of those, and then obviously the designers have decorated inside as they prefer. Here, for example, we have dysfunctionals set up. We'll peek into their booth a little bit, I think, and see what they've got. Very pretty. And next door, I think I saw Stitched. Indeed, and they have some nice clothing for guys. So don't think that this is just for girls. No, there's definitely quite a lot of good offerings for guys this year. So you'll want to, yeah, obviously you have to browse a bit and look around, but Stitch is definitely a place you'll want to check out. And then over there we have the gate into the Fairylands Junction, and that's where you can reach all the Sims from. It has teleporters and information. And then if we go up here, we have the somewhat larger and more elaborate shops, and with this one here, with the gate opening in here being the one for the Rowan Wood, and I like that detail here. Got some skulls hanging around here, very nice. And here we have the plastic, and they are bringing a lot of stuff. I think I'm going to give you a better look at this by letting some of this res. Maybe I'll be impatient and tell it to re-res. So here are the Relay for Life vendors with special editions. There are necklaces and beautiful skins, and these gorgeous skins that are a collaboration with Trap and available both for male and female avatars. They are also available in a lot of different colors. So I'll give you a better look at this here. The guys have started resing in, the girls haven't quite resed. Lots of cool designs, really elaborate, and you can choose whether you want the masking on the head or not. There are different versions to choose from, so you could go with a clean face, but I think it looks quite cool with the design on it. Oops, managed to back out of here. And so we have a few more shops up here, and there I am as well. And I am actually wearing one of these skins from the plastic. So you can get a closer look here at this skin. And as you can see, it's got some lovely detailing on the arms and everything. There's more, there's on the back, there's more going down on the legs that you can't see right now, because I've got this outfit on as well, which is also from the Fantasy Fair, and of course I'll have all the credits in the post. And then I have this lovely hair, which I thought fit for a sort of wilder style, and that is one of Analog Dog's hairs for the Fantasy Fair. With these thick braids, and the other one is a wild curly style, which I really liked as well. You see how beautiful the red colors are in the hair if I manage to get the sunlight just on it. There we go. Very nice. And the sword is from Fallen Arms, which is also a Fantasy Fair item. So I'm almost entirely in Fantasy Fair gear, except for the belt that I added to have the sword on, and the boots from the Muses. So this is a sim of Shadow Row, and see what else we have here. Give you a few more looks at some of the design details of the sim. You've got this sort of tower on the top of this one, and then here, over here, you have the watchtower, which is described for the sim. If you look at its description on the Fantasy Fair webpage, the tower with the beacon is an integral feature of how this sim was envisioned. And here you have that red banner for the orc tribe. I really like the look of this one, I have to say. It came together beautifully, and it kind of combines the wood details, and the landscaping is really nicely done. I wish I could do that myself. I am constantly trying to improve my landscaping and messing around with my sim, but never quite turns out exactly the way I want it to be. And this palisade is really cool. I could use something like that. But anyway, that is one of the sims that I'm going to show you. And if you want to know more about the merchants who are on the sim, you can go to the Fantasy Fair webpage, and then all the sims are listed, and you can look up and see exactly who is on the sim. This one has a really nice layout as well, so you can easily browse it by following the path. Some of the others are a little trickier, so it can be a good idea knowing exactly who is there if you have a particular merchant that you want to visit. But, you know, I wouldn't overlook trying out some new ones either, because there's always little gems hiding here and there. The second sim that I'm taking a look at here is The Rose, built by Alia Barak of Fallen Gods, and his sims for the Fantasy Fair have consistently been some of my favorites. They are always very thought through, elaborate, and really beautiful. This one certainly is no exception. It has a distinct Venetian feel. There are some canals even. If we go in here and have a look, we'll see that some of the water runs in between here, between some of the shops. That was just not rest for me yet. And in between here you can see more of the water feature. Obviously the buildings are also in that style. It's kind of like a big grand palace with the shops lining the sides. It's kind of like how they integrated it with the next door sim. So you've got this wall built up to fit it and kind of hide the sim there, and then up here you climb over from the other sim. You come up onto this thing and you climb up here, and then you get to the top of this magnificent building. And it's definitely a place that I think I will be doing some photos at as well, because it's just too pretty. I'm hoping that Alia will be selling pieces of the sim. He often does have that out for after the Fantasy Fair. He'll have some of the elements available. I have some beautiful pieces from when he had his Odyssey sim some years back, some beautiful Grecian temples, and here I am. I didn't change for for the sim because I'm going to be doing plenty of changing this week as it is, and I figured I'd save myself a little bit of time by going in my outfit, even though it's not entirely appropriate for this very refined, slightly decadent sim. So this one is obviously quite easy to browse through as well in terms of shopping. You've got 3 levels on each side where the shops are. And there are some really cool shops here as well. See if I can stumble on some of my favorites, and hopefully I don't overlook anyone. This is really cool. See You Soon of Illusions has returned with a couple of small designs only for the Fantasy Fair. She's brought back some of her older, and she's made a couple of gorgeous new hats. Illusions, of course, used to be the go-to place for masks and also other types of accessories, but in particular masks. CU hasn't been in SL that much lately, but maybe she'll be crawling back in, sneaking back in, should I say. That doesn't sound a little bit better, perhaps, and giving us a little pretty thing now and then. Who else do we have here? Hopefully I'm not making anyone too dizzy with my camming around. It's a little bit difficult to do this perfectly smoothly. We definitely have, I know, Wasabi Pills somewhere here, which has some really nice hairs out for the Fantasy Fair this year, including 2 for guys. Ah, here we are. It is, in fact, the store that hasn't quite rest for me. Let's see if clicking a few things might bring something back. No, it's pretending that it's invisible, but I can at least go in and show you some of the hairs that she has out. Get a better focus like that, and see if I can get these to rest. So this is one of the female hairs, a really pretty braid, I think. And then you have this hair for guys. She's finally made 2 more male hairs. Really like this style as well. This one is unisex, so you've got one for the girls as well. And then you've got this Logan hair, which is a straighter style for guys. And you've got them both in RFL Avengers and in special colors for that. And then regular colors as well. Oh, and here's actually a, forgot about that one. A 3rd hair for girls. Get that one rest as well. And you will, or is that, no, that is the raven hair in, that is the RFL color, sorry. So there's 2 styles for each gender, plus the RFL editions. And I am going to see if I can give you a little bit of a look at the other side as well. I know that I don't think that Alia had fully gotten his setup by the time that I filmed this. Obviously he's been hard at work on the sim itself, so hopefully by the time that the Fairlands is letting you in, which should be when this video goes up, you will be able to see what he's got as well. And this is a cool thing, actually. I liked seeing this store. This is a store that makes stuff for the Teagle Pento Horse avatar, among other things. It makes some really cool animations, and I am quite eager to get my hands on a few of those. Like, we have one up here with Spanish gates, and we have this one here, which is Airs Above the Ground, I think. So if you have one of those horse avatars, that's Mithril is a great store for getting some animations for them. So where are we now? Let me see here, just to give you a look at the front as well. So you got this beautiful plaza down here, these statues and everything, and then you can go in here and see. You got this gate over there and these lights. I really like the space. Let's see where we end up. If we zoom in here, ooh, kind of like a ballroom or something. Very nice. And you've got these areas up here where you can look down. yeah, it's a fabulous build. Really enjoying that one, and I hope you will too once you get the chance to browse it. Just give you a final shot of this. See if I can get the ones that are rest. Well, as you see, there'll be some empty spots. It is starting to get a little bit laggy for me. I've been doing this for a while. But that is the rose, or most of it anyway. And now I'm going to be going on to the final sim for this little video. Where the other two sims have been quite pretty, you can't say exactly pretty about San Mora, which is built by Death Row Designs, but it isn't really designed to be pretty either. It is supposed to be a city that has fallen into ruin. It was once the center of great medicine, and then there was a plague outbreak that killed off people, and it was quarantined, and now sort of nature is reclaiming this dying city, and there are still, excuse me, things lurking in the ruins. And I like the stories that they tend to have behind their sims for Death Row Design. One year they did one which was a dark version of a previous sim that they had done, basically where it had been taken over by dark forces and being corrupted. And I don't actually know if the sim designers propose the sort of backstory for the sims, or if they get proposals that they then work with. But either way, it came out really cool, and this one's obviously very different from the other more fantasy ones. This is more of a post-apocalyptic sim in a sense, and it's a little tricky to cam around, admittedly, to find the stores, because it's really meant for just walking through. The tall buildings make it a little tough, but it is very cool the way it is executed. And sort of out here you have a bit more of a outskirts that are being reclaimed by nature. And you have so many little things built here. And you got stores in these buildings here. Basically, the stores are on this sim are all very different and very much integrated into the city, so they've done a great job with that. And I believe that they also tend to sell pieces of their designs afterwards. So if you want some of this grungy stuff around for your own sim, you could definitely get a hold of it, I think. And here, you know, got cool sort of roleplay details like this, the evacuation notice, biohazard signs. It's all very thoroughly done. And apart from Death Row Designs, we have Anachron on this sim. And they have things for guys, for example. This Grecian toga. And some of their other pieces, of course. And then they have this armor for girls. Comes in a range of colors, with one of them picked out as the RFL color, or actually I think all of the vendors are RFL vendors here. Sometimes it's hard to see before everything reses in. So that is something that you can find here when you browse through these dark, foreboding streets. And I'm going to give you a bit more look at the central square here, because it's quite cool with this sort of plague doctor figure, the gas mask, and warning people off from the city. Let's see here, holding up a hand basically, and it's cobbled together, supported with some wooden planks. Quite cool. Did we have DRD's own store over here, or was it just a sign? I think it was just a sign. You got a lot of graffiti and bits and pieces, and it's definitely a very cool one to walk through, and you'll get a sense of all the love that has gone into all these details. So as you can see, there is a lot to explore at the Fantasy Fair. from, high fantasy with, or sword and sorcery with orcs, through this sort of romantic, historical inspired with the rose, and then you have this post-apocalyptic sim. So it's a perfect opportunity to get some great photos out. Obviously, to shop, whether it's regular releases or of course the Relay for Life releases, to make sure that the fair races as much as possible. And I hope that you will have a good time. Remember that it is on for 10 days at least, so if you find it way too laggy the first days, you should be able to come around later as well. Just be a little patient, maybe not dress up as much as I've done here. Try and keep your complexity down, and just turn everyone into jelly dolls if you're not, if you don't need more people in your photos. And you should be able to have a great time, and I hope I'll see you at the Fantasy Fair over the next 10 days.